It's small things that people do that makes them great. Small things. I've always noticed that great people manage to identify that, to relate or to identify smallest things, smallest suffering of another person. They are able to identify that. I'm going to tell you a story about one of the greatest human beings that India ever gave birth to, and that is Dr. APJ Abdul Kalam. One of the greatest human beings, no doubt about it. Nobody will have a debate on this. One day, APJ Abdul Kalam was traveling to IIM Shillong. He would love to talk to students. He'd love to talk to colleges. He'd love to meet students. That was his passion. So he was traveling to IIM Shillong, and there was a 6-motor cavalcade. Security and all, 6 motors that was actually guarding him, and his was the second car. The first car was actually, they call it pilot. The first car, the pilot car, was actually a gypsy where there was a driver, 2 people with guns sitting both sides, and 1 person standing there with a gun pointed. So that was a guard for Dr. APJ Abdul Kalam. So, like I said, Abdul Kalam, sitting in the second car, noticed that there was this man standing and guarding him. So he asked his secretary, he said, "Bhai, ye kitna der lagega pahunchne ko?" He said, "Sir, 1.5 se 2 ghanta lag sakta hai. Shillong, I am pahunchte." So he said, 1.5 to 2 hours. So he asked his secretary, he said, this poor man, security guard, is he going to stand for all the 1.5 to 2 hours till I reach Shillong? So the secretary said, "Yes, sir, you must be instructed to. You must have been instructed to stand. It's security. I mean, they will have to do it." So he said, "No. Why should this poor man stand? Can't he sit and do security? 1.5 hours this poor man will have to stand. Wouldn't he get tired?" He said, No. You please take your walkie-talkie and tell the jeep fellow that make the gentleman sit and let him sit for some time, and then he can do the security sitting." So the secretary tried telling the force that way you make the person sit. Dr. Abdul Kalam wants him to sit, but of course that was not heeded because obviously they are military people. They had to do the security. They would do the way they had been told. Anyway, every 15 minutes the secretary says that Dr. APJ Abdul Kalam would check with him saying that, "Bhai, you बैठ क्यों नहीं रहा? वो message नहीं पहुंचा क्या? Didn't he get the message? Wasn't he told? Why is that poor man standing?" Anyway, Dr. Abdul Kalam was very upset, very, very, very pained that somebody was standing and guarding him. You see, every minister, you see people around them. Have you seen when these big prime ministers and home ministers and defense ministers and all talk, there are 2 people constantly standing behind. Those guys almost stand the whole day. But look at the sensitivity of Abdul Kalam. Anyway, he reached IIM Shillong, and as he went in, he told his secretary, he said, "Bula usko, I want to meet this man." So the secretary went around and identified the person who was standing, got him in. Abdul Kalam folded his hands and said, "Thank you so much for doing this for me. Itne der khade the. You were standing for so long. You must be very tired. Can I offer you something to eat?" The security guard in his life, he was a professional security guard, must have guarded so many ministers and VIPs. In his life, nobody had ever asked him that, "Tum itne khade kaise ho?" He was very emotionally moved. He had tears in his eyes. And he folded his hands too. And he said, "Sir, 1.5 घंटा क्या? मैं आपके लिए 24 घंटा खड़े रहूँगा. Why 1.5 hours? I will stand for you for 24 hours willingly." What a story.